Hi, I'm Cassie.
And I'm Mariah.
And this is the Cassie and Mariah Show, a podcast where two long-distance internet friends, that's us, discuss navigating their 20s through disability and chronic illness. Welcome back for season 2.
Yeah! I was going to clap, but I think it's going to be really loud if I do that.
If I clap, my light will turn off.
What's up, Cassie? Why was season 2 so delayed?
Shit, it's hard to say. It's almost like my life went really downhill really fast. Which we'll get into more later, but oh my god, it feels good to be back.
It feels fun. It feels like very fun and exciting to be back in the studio.
Oh, fact. I think that this has become such an important outlet for me, and I'm like, I can't believe I went months without it.
Like a creativity outlet, like a way to just like a conversational, like I feel like, you know, having the weekly like 3-hour FaceTime with you to do this was so like vital in like my schedule and in my life.
Exactly.
That I'm like, what is Cassie up to now? I have no idea. We talk every day, but I have no idea.
I don't, however, regret taking a break.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, honestly, and, like, thank God, like, my life going downhill happened while we were on break, so, yeah, it made things a lot easier, and I think that it also made us appreciate doing this so much more. And also, we got our first ever Podcasters Spotify Wrapped thing, and that was cool and fun. So
that was fun to look at.
Thanks if you tagged us or told us you were in your top however many podcasts. That's so special.
I know, right? And like seeing how many like listeners throughout the year, like what episode was like the most popular with people, like I don't know, it just was very nice to like be able to look at the analytics and see people posting it on their stories. Like, so thanks guys, we really appreciated it.
And I can't remember which one of your friends had us and Brittany Broski next to each other, but I was like, this is the highest honor.
The GOAT?
Oh, yes. So yeah, we're excited to dive back in for season 2, and we've got lots of fun episodes planned, but we're also gonna, I don't know, keep it a little more loosey-goosey because, you know, when you plan out a whole season in advance, it's like, what if I don't want to talk about that in 2 months?
Right.
And also so much happens in life and in the world, and so giving each other, or giving ourselves more flexibility in that way, I think will keep everybody, including us, on our toes.
Of course. And I think, too, it at least keeps it a little bit more, like, authentic to be like, oh, yeah, this week, you know, we want to talk about this. Like, I think, like you said, the loosey-goosey, the, like, go with the flow, like, you know, I want to know what time the flow starts. I want to know what to wear to the flow. Like, you know.
I want to know if there's parking at the flow.
I do think that keeping it kind of a little bit more, like, unstructured will be a lot more, like, a lot easier for us to, like, really be able to come on here and be like, this is what's going on right now, rather than being like, oh, this is what we're talking about today, but, like, you know, all these other things went on, you know. So I feel like it's a lot, I don't know, it's a lot more fun to just be like, hey, this is the topic.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it, and I think that's also so indicative of being in our mid-20s. I mean, the fact that, like, in reality, it has only been a couple months, you know, since we recorded, and yet so much has changed so dramatically in our lives. And I think that is just so, like, that's just so true. That just speaks to where we're at in our lives. Like, that's just how life is. And so I think being able to speak to that in a more timely manner, and God, sometimes our check-ins were the most fun part.
Right, we're in like the unscripted nonsense.
Yes.
The things that we were just like telling each other again because we knew it happened, but now we're telling everybody else.
Sometimes the story's so good I want to hear it again anyway.
And you know, too, I think like even just like back to what you said about like the unpredictability of life, because like we recorded our last episode in June, and I know it came out like in July, but like it's crazy that's like that's when like the last everybody heard from us, and like so much has happened in that like almost like 5-month span, like not even like it's wild to think that like just the way that life changes and the paths that we go down, like involuntarily, you know, even.
Yep. Yep. I know something about that.
But if you do like the show, be sure to follow and rate it on whatever platform you're streaming on to help us reach more people. And stick around for the end of the episode to find out what reoccurring segment we finally landed on and to learn how you can get involved with an episode we've got planned for later in this season.
Woohoo!
So this episode, we're kind of basing it off of the drunk drawer like setup. If you've listened to past episodes of ours, we have 2 of them out from the first season of this concept that's called a junk drawer. And the ideology behind that is like when you're cleaning the junk drawer that you have, whether it's like a desk, in your room, whatnot, you come across things that you can dispose of quickly, like lip balms, pieces of paper, garbage, etc. But then you come across things that you linger on a little bit longer because they have memories associated with them. So some topics we cover are like garbage, and some of them are more like thought-provoking and sentimental.
And speaking of garbage, all right, I've started seeing memes and reels on Instagram of the concept of Rock Girl Winter. And I don't know if we probably didn't mention this last season, but all summer long we talked to each other about how it was Rock Girl Summer. It was not, I mean, to some degree I think it was Hot Girl Summer because at any given time it's Hot Girl Summer.
Right.
But it was Rock Girl Summer. And now I'm starting to see things about Rock Girl Winter. And I'm just like, who do you think you are? Because these are videos where girls are like having self-care nights and calling it Rock Girl Winter. And I'm like, I'm sorry. When I'm rotting, I'm making a microwave meal. I'm not making dinner and doing my skincare routine and reading before bed. I am eating whatever I scrounge up that takes me 30 seconds to make, and then scrolling on Instagram Reels while I'm watching YouTube.
Yes. Oh, yeah, of course. Like a Rock Girl Winter for the real rock girls. We are gatekeeping this. I'm sorry. I'm not like drawing a nice bath with a bath bomb and bath salts. I'm taking a depression shower, a 20-minute long shower, my first shower of the week, and it's been 5 days. Like, you're lucky if shampoo touches my hair, and maybe I'll put socks on after. Like,
and I will get in bed with wet hair and regret it the next day. I will get in bed with
wet hair. There's beads of water still on me. My t-shirt's sticking to me. Like, I'm not going to sit here and, like, pamper myself. What is this? Girl, we're in this ditch right now. There's no room for mental health. There's no room for self-care supplies in here.
I'm just like, yeah, I completely support gatekeeping Rock Girl seasons because it's Rock Girl season year round. And it was just the most mentally healthy self-care video I've ever seen. And I was like, you're not rotting. I mean, maybe to you this is rotting, but that looks like a good day for me.
My idea of like a rock girl night, if you will, right? Like, you know, the reading before bed, like having a cup of tea, like, no. I'm falling asleep with my glasses on, with my lights on, like, and I'm falling asleep, like, listening to a podcast or, like, a YouTube video that, like, I fall asleep watching it, so the entire video still plays and I wake up and my phone's dead. Like, that's, that's me. Like, I'm taking, like, an edible before I go to bed. I'll take my pain meds before I go to bed. Sometimes I take melatonin and then I sleep really weird and gross all night. But I'm not gonna sit here and, like take care of myself. Dude, it's 5 o'clock. I'm going to bed right now. Like, it's dark outside. Oh, you think I'm staying up?
Oh, yeah. No, for sure. And yeah, like those are the nights where my bedtime procrastination, or what is it, revenge bedtime procrastination or whatever they call it. Though, like Rock Girl nights are when it's the worst. I'm up till 3 a.m. watching the Vogue Beauty Secrets videos to try to relax enough to go to bed, but I can't. And so, because I'm sorry, when you have to fall asleep, you have to be alone with your thoughts. And so what if I just sit here and I watch silly little videos on my phone until I'm literally so tired that I pass out? You should know that yesterday I was cleaning my room and the bathroom because I can only clean, once every 3 months when I'm not in school. And because it's winter break right now. And we have this like small shelf up above the toilet for like decorations in the bathroom. And for years now, we've had, like, my great aunt, who's now been, like, dead for years. Like, this is how long these things have been up there. She had given us, like, these I don't know. I mean, maybe they're not decorative, but we used them as decorative soaps. They were just, like, plastic wrapped, and they were, like, nice looking at some point. But they were covered now in, like, inches and inches of dust, and are not cute at all. And so we finally tossed them out. But you should know that after we cleaned that shelf, we put the frog log on the shelf.
Shut
Mariah
up.
gave me a piece of, she went to a craft fair and she found this driftwood with these little frogs on it, and it is now living above my toilet. So when you come visit, the frogs will keep you company while you're on the shitter.
Shut up. Cause I actually, like, when I got that for you, I was like, I don't know where Cassie's gonna put this, but I believe she has somewhere for it. Like, it's not that big. It's probably the size of, like, maybe your elbow to, like, your wrist. Maybe a little bit bigger, but
your elbow to your wrist. Not mine, but yeah.
I was just like, because I was like, whenever I give someone something, which I know you don't do this, I think about how big it is and where it will go in their room. Cassie so thankfully, so beautifully, so graciously crocheted me a blanket for Christmas. And I'll be honest, it's probably my favorite gift I've ever gotten in my entire life. It has baby Snoopy on it, and it's like baby pink and like magenta almost. And I love it. But it's just like a cumbersome blanket, because even when you fold it, it's still pretty thick. I mean, it took $54 for her to ship it to me. So then, if that just like contributes to how big it is.
The post office lady, she said, "Is that okay?" I said, "What choice do I have?
What am I supposed to do?
You want me to fucking drive it there myself? I mean, fuck. That would cost more."
But like, as Cassie was mailing it to me, she goes, "Oh, you always complain about not having room. Like, you always complain about not having room for stuff in your room, and I'm mailing you something that's not like an easy thing to store."
I meant it to be a throw blanket, and when I finished it and sent pictures to my friends, they go, "Wow, the size," and I go, "Yeah, it's not really a throw blanket so much as if you throw it, it's gonna take you down with it. Like, it's accidentally kind of a weighted blanket."
But it is very cozy, and I do love it a lot. So it has a good home here. I imagine my vision is like when I have my own place one day and I have a very nice little living room and stuff, to throw it over the back of the couch.
Yes.
Like, and that's where it will live.
In fact, you're gonna pick the couch based on how well it'll match.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, like, it's going to have to be a neutral colored couch, because that's going to be like the star of the show. Like, that's the centerpiece.
Facts. Ooh, a nice dark gray, maybe.
I was thinking that. Like a nice dark color, so this way the animal hair doesn't show up on it, too.
Just my hair from the blanket.
There is some hair weaved in. I think there's also hair on the tape from the frog log too.
Yes,
right?
yeah, you mailed me. I don't often get shipped Mariah hair, so I was like, wow, this is so special.
This is so special as you try to shake it from your hand. Anyway.
Well, I'm happy to kick things off and talk about my life, so that way when we talk about Mariah, we really end on a high note. Well, okay, to be fair, I'll start on a high note, because the last time that we recorded, I was just starting my summer internship, and I am so happy to report that it was like one of the most positive experiences of my life, and like just generally like that era of my life was very good. Like, for a solid 2.5 months, my life was doing real good. I was doing I led like a transportation, I Okay, I've been in interviews all week and I've forgotten how to talk about myself and the things I've done. That's embarrassing. Anyway, I read a transportation policy research. I can't remember how to put words together. I was doing transportation policy research. Yes, that's what I was doing. I swear I know what I'm doing. Anyway, basically, every 7 years, Oregon passes a major state transportation funding package. And so the next one is anticipated for 2025. And so the last one was in 2017. So I did research on the impacts of that package. And then, yeah, I interviewed 30 people around the state talking about, how that last package came together and what's needed for the next one and the impacts that the last one had and things like that. And, so yeah, it was a really amazing project to get to work on, and I learned a lot about myself in the process in terms of before I started that internship, I still wasn't really sure what I wanted to do for a career. I was still do I want to go the planning route? Do I want to go the policy route? And between that and then some of the schoolwork projects that I've had, I am very confident that I want to go the public policy route. Which was such a nice thing to realize because I didn't expect to get that out of that experience. And yeah, and it was just cool to get to experience that. And otherwise I would have been so bored this summer also. Oh my God. Because that would especially just to go from being in school full time to doing nothing would have sucked. So, and it was just part time. And so it was honestly, every day rocked because I would work from what was it, 9 to 3 or something like that. And it was remote. And then I would go hang out with friends and, remember back in summer when it was light outside till 10 p.m. That rocked. I remember those days.
The internship was it was part-time. So how many days was it a week?
It was 5 days a week, just not 8-hour days.
Yeah, and then you had the weekends, you were able to do stuff, and also most people were around on the weekends too, and
exactly. I was still able to be the flexible friend because, and it was also nice because it's if I'm going to Portland to hang out with friends, it's okay, it's a bit of a commute, and so getting off at 3, it's I had plenty of time to go wherever, do whatever,
right.
And that's why I saw Barbie 4 times. God, we could do, and I feel like it might even be a topic later in the season, I can't remember, but I could talk forever about the psychological impact of Barbie on my brain. But oh my God, what a good movie. But then also again, having all this time, I every day I went outside and I visited my froggies because you're probably why the hell did Mariah give you frogs on a log? Well, that's because this summer we had froggies living in the watering cans outside. And I love them, and I would visit them every day, and they'd be up in the plastic handle that goes across. I would have to bend over upside down sometimes to see them.
I remember looking at your Instagram stories and trying to figure out where the hell they were inside the watering can.
Yeah, because
and that makes sense of the handle.
The handle's hollow, and so they would crawl in. It depended the can. We had 2 cans because one of them had broken, and then we had another one, and so they were both sitting there, and there was a frog usually in each of them, although the one was less popular in general. And so they were slightly different designs too, but generally the most commonly habitated, I don't know, habited,
habited, habitat, inhabited. Yeah, I think
we're smart girls. Okay, inhabited feels smart.
That's right.
That can. They would crawl in through the hole where you would stick the hose in to fill up the can. They would crawl in there, and then they could get into the handle that's hollow, and it can take them all the way down to where they could then hop across and go up the spout. And that spout had like an open end because the cap was off of it, the like sprinkle cap, whereas the other can, even though it's sprinkle cap, which is such a weird term I'm using, even though its cap was off, it had a much more narrow hole on it.
Okay.
And so you couldn't, even if there was a frog in there, you couldn't really see them as well. But yeah, the one can, they loved crawl. They would crawl so deep into the handle that I really had to bend it because it like arches, of course, and so it's like hard to see down in there. But sometimes it's like if they were really in there and I would bend over and look in there, they would come crawling out to say hi, and I love them. I love them so much. Sometimes I was like, I wonder if my frogs miss me on days I don't say hi, and I think they did.
I wonder if the frogs think about me too.
Yeah, and I think they did. Okay, I knew the differences between them because we had OG Frog, the first one that was living in there regularly, and then we had the Harry Styles Watermelon Sugar Frog because he looked like a watermelon, and then we had the Pointy Nose Frog because he had a pointier nose than the other ones. They're all Pacific tree frogs, and
okay,
but there's a lot of variety, I guess, and yeah, I mean, I got really in the habit of going out and seeing them every day, and then fall came and they had to go to the mud.
Yeah,
they had to go hibernate in the mud, and I mean, honestly, really, once the first rains started coming, they were like, I gotta go do frog stuff, Cassie. I was like, what about me? Have you ever thought about that? If you're cold, they're cold, bring them inside.
Yeah, well, like, I have seen where people have outdoor plants that they would keep outside during the winter and then they bring them in, or keep outside during the summer, bring in the winter. And sometimes they would find like dirt around their house, and it turns out like frogs were living in those pots, and they would come out and be like, oh my God, what am I doing inside your house?
Well, my mom used to keep a small watering can on the front porch, and then she started bringing it inside. And I remember earlier this year, before I was obsessed with them, I walked into my bathroom and there was a frog on the floor. And I was like, hey, Dad, you want to come pick up this frog? I mean, the frog was just chilling, but I was like, I need to like go piss, girl. And
he
I can't do
that porcelain floor, like in the bathroom.
That linoleum. So nice. Yeah. So yeah, no, it's very real. I guess I'm assuming that he came from that watering can because it's like, yeah, what the heck.
Right.
But, and then I also every evening, because like especially when it was like really hot during the summer, we wouldn't want to go outside to water the flowers and stuff until it was almost dark out because it was too hot otherwise, and so we would wait till it was dusk basically, and then the bats would come out and I would sit there and I'd wait for them and I'd be like, oh look, there they are, and there was a set of parents and then a baby bat, and I love them. So yeah, summer was very good. Mariah, what were you doing this summer?
I feel like my summer was like, I went to Long Beach Island in July, which I think that was like right before we finished. Yeah, that was right after we finished recording. Mm-hmm. So I did Long Beach Island. Which like, it's so funny to think about, just like back to certain spots in your life where like, then I was kind of like, I very much enjoyed that family vacation. And I was like, you know what, this is my like I'm releasing what no longer serves me. Like wanting to intentionally like shed layers that I felt like I was just like holding on to. Like I need a good like exfoliation, and you know what? I roll around in the sand and it gets it right off you. I've mentioned before, I think, on the pod that I've like, done the dating app gauntlet and went through the things like that. And I was like, oh, this doesn't like, at the time I was like, when I was first doing it, I was like, wasn't ready. And then it was like, there was like one weekend where I was at my friend's house and like, she was going on apps and she was talking to people and she was like, oh, like, why don't you just try it again? Like, you don't have to do anything that you don't want to do. You don't have to talk to anybody that you don't want to do. Like, this could just be something where, like, be comfortable with it. Like, do whatever you're comfortable with. And I was like, yeah, let's see what's going on, whatever. And I think that, like, what kind of works for me is to, like, kind of put it out there for people that I wasn't intentionally, like, serious. That I was just, like, I'm looking for nothing. And if I find nothing, great. If I find somebody, cool. Like, whatever.
It was almost like I remember you were like literally like kind of just in a way making friends and like just enjoying just talking to people.
Yes. Like, I even had on my profile that life is a highway and etc. And that's like, that's it. Like, that's it. Because
I did not know this.
I was not looking for, like, you know, and like, no, obviously no offense to anybody that is, like, was, you know, looking for an actual serious relationship. I just was like, this is like exposure therapy for me. And like, I think what also, like, a thing on the side was like, I was constantly using Reddit, and I was looking at like the Am I the Asshole subreddit and relationship advice and all this stuff that was it put like such a negative view. Like, I had such a negative view for other people. And I was like, this is really bad, because this makes me feel like everybody in relationships and stuff, everybody's miserable and everybody's unhappy. And like, it kind of like really made me like spiral, where I was like, oh my God, I have to live in the woods with a cat and a dog, and that's it for the rest of my life. Like, I cannot do anything. So after that, I only download Hinge. Because I was like, I can only do one dating app. Back then I did Bumble and Hinge, and I was like flip-flopping between the two. And I'm like, this is bad. I don't like this. So I only did Hinge because I like the prompts on there. I could be a little bit more like quirky, like with stuff. I could put a little bit more of like silly pictures. Like, you can even do voice memos on there, like on your profile. Like, it was just like, I was really like, I'm being a quirky girl. It was like the beginning of August, and it was like literally like 3 days into having the app on my phone, I like match with somebody, and like the prompt that always gets people is that I had a question that said, the prompt was like, what moment in history would you time travel to? So my first option that I put, like, so these are 3 things that I like post that I put on there on my profile to be like, you know, these are the options, was JFK's assassination, can we save him? The moment you were born, or the moon landing. And people love the JFK one because they love to create their own conspiracy theories about stuff, whatever. And there's one person that was like, gave a whole detailed like view of like, oh, if we, you know, time travel and do this, then like, this is what we do. Or if we could time travel again, we could try the first option and then do this the next time. And like, basically like trial and error to save JFK. And I was like, love the dedication, love the thought out process. You've been waiting for someone to ask you this. And I'm looking at this guy's profile, and I see that he has as like one of his prompts saying like, my irrational fear, and he wrote, is Disney adults. And I was like, I have 2 pictures on my profile that were from Disney. So I was like, oh, this guy has no idea what's coming. So like, I was like, oh my God, like hilarious. I'm going to totally get this guy and be like, oh my God, you really match with a Disney adult? Like, really digging into the jokes. We talked for a couple days, and I was like, you know what? Like, this is fun. Like, I like this. This doesn't feel as intimidating as I thought it was going to be. And like this, like, it was just more of like a genuine, like, back and forth conversation, like, rather than it feeling like being like, hey, what's up? What's up? Yeah. Nothing much. Oh, do you want to hang out? Because that's what a lot of people were like, within the first 24 hours of talking to you, wanted to like get something on the books. And I was like, no, like, I don't even know who you are. I haven't even ran your name through LinkedIn yet. Like, I have no idea who you are. Like, I can't just like hang out. Because that's like another thing too, of like worrying about like your safety when you're talking to people. Because I'm like, I don't want to meet somebody that I literally have no idea who they are. So after our first couple of days of like talking to him, we exchanged phone numbers, and then like I had a vendor event one weekend, and I was like, oh, do you want to like hang out after, like immediately after? Do you want to meet me in Asbury Park? Like, let's hang out. And we did. We walked on the boardwalk for like 3 hours, just back and forth, and had a great night. Like, I felt like I wasn't even ready to like have a connection with somebody in the way that I did. And like one thing led to the next, and I have a boyfriend now. And it's like, I'm sure I could sit here and be all sappy, silly, and talk about everything in between. But I think that it really is like such a like healing and like healthy relationship and mindset that I'm currently in too, that I'm like, oh, like this is somebody who like I do feel comfortable telling them everything. And like if I have like the things that like having a relationship with somebody where you can just be like, hey, like this is who I am, and you're just like, yep, like you're completely like receptive of that with each other, and this like unconditional like love and like feelings that you have for one another. It's just very like, it's just so like, I guess it's hard for me to even sit here and be like, I deserve something like this.
You do.
Well, like I know I do, but like I think sometimes you're even just like, I don't know if I'm ready for this, or I don't know if I deserve this, or I don't, like, you just like have the self-doubt, like the imposter syndrome, and you're like, no, I am, like, I do deserve this, I am ready for this, like, this is what I want, and I'm happy with this, and that's how I feel.
And it's been so beautiful and heartwarming to witness. Like, name one thing better than seeing your best friend happy. Wait, like, it has just sparked so much joy for me to witness the whole thing unfold. At first, I honestly, my memory is so bad lately, guys, we'll get there. But it's like, so I don't fully remember, but I vaguely remember, like, at the beginning being like, especially when you were like, I'm back on the apps, I was like, oh god, is this healthy this time? I was like, are you good? Right. Like, just genuine concern for you. But then as things started to, be good and just everything was good, and I was just like, oh my god, thank god, because you deserve the world. Like,
because even like when I was first on apps, I was just like, I was using it as like a hyperfixation, scroll, match, like, dude, this whole, and I was like, this is bad. Like, I'm like seeking for something that I need to give myself internally on here. And that's why I was even worried about like going back into it. But I was like, no, like I don't have to do anything that I don't want to do. And I think also because like, he also had the same intentions of like not looking for something serious. So right. Like that kind of both helps when you're going into something and not expecting anything from either person. And like, it just made it a lot easier to be like, oh, like, you're who I've been looking for.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I've needed, and what it like has like, my life has like a lot of things I've learned in life has led up to this moment of like being like ready for an actual like serious like relationship like this. And especially like, being 26, like, most people are like looking to get married, stuff like that, and I'm like,
right,
looking for stuff like that made me nervous, because I was like, I don't want to like get into a relationship with somebody that's like, oh, XYZ, like, you have to fit into this plan. It's just more of like, no, you can like grow with each other, like, parallel to one another, and be able to like be supportive of each other's futures and like plans, and like like, at the end of the day, like, you're in a relationship, but you're two separate people still.
It makes me think, like, because I was just noticing the next thing on your list here, and I'm just like, there's nothing more romantic than a man who's like, I'll put you on my health insurance.
Listen, I'll be honest. I was talking to him about my health insurance and everything like that, and he was like, well, the Plan B option, we can just get married, and then you can have my health insurance. And I'm like, great. I love that I just met you. Or even like, like when he told me, he was like, oh, like I cross-referenced like some of your medications and they are covered by my insurance. And I was like, oh my God, like modern day love.
Yes.
The next thing on my list was that my health insurance with my parents' insurance has been extended for 2 years.
Thank God.
But I'm also kind of still in the mindset of like, okay, 2 years to figure this shit out.
Yeah.
As much as I would love to be like, yeah, let's just get hitched and I get your health insurance, I do think that, like, I would like to, which I've had this conversation with him about, like, being that, like, that independent still.
Yeah.
Like, to just have it, just so this way I'm not, like, worrying about, like, like, and this way in the case of, like, oh, if you need it, I have it. Or if, like,
True.
XYZ, because sometimes, like, it's hard out here, like.
Well, and it's, like, I don't know, I think literally being dependent on, somebody for something as important as health. Like, that's, it's nice to know that you can rely on yourself if you need to. And
exactly.
Thank God because it's like, watching Courtney, watching other, like, knowing that, like, when I turn 26, like, end of July 2024, like, it's like, graduating June 2024 and knowing I'm losing my health insurance, end of July 2024. Horrifying. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, gotta find like a good job that will pay me enough that I can move out and provide good health insurance. Like, fuck, that's horrifying.
And that's where I just felt where I was like, I'm so like grateful and thankful for this, because with the health insurance plan that I currently have, like when I was talking to like, you know, the people that the person that like helped me apply for like the extension, like first of all, it's considered for like adults, like disabled adults. So I was like, am I disabled enough to get the extension? Was my main factor.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it was like the paperwork was like, you either get denied or you get extended until you're 31. And I was like, okay, those are two big steps apart from one another. So I was like, whatever I get, I can't do anything. If I get denied, I get denied. If I get accepted, I get accepted. Like, you can't do anything. So when I got the letter in the mail, this was right before I was going to Disney again too. And my mom, like, she opened it for me because it was addressed to like my dad, and it says like, okay, your like dependent has been like extended until December 2025. I was like, 2 years? I was like, oh my God, I didn't think it was going to be, I being genuine, I thought I was going to get denied. Like, I really didn't think that I was going to get extended. And I was like mentally preparing for that answer. So I was like, 2 years, like that's more than enough time. I was even like hoping just for 1 year, like, you know, just hoping for like some amount of time. But I was like, you know, thank God, because I just like, it gives me like more time even to like put the plan into place to like find out what my next steps are. So I do think that my boyfriend arc did take up a lot of my like August into September mindset, because like, I don't know, what else do you think about when you're in love than the other person? I don't know. But Cassie, how's your fall? Now we're transitioning into the fall time of year.
Oh, yeah. Well, in the same way that leaves fall, I don't know, I'm trying to make some metaphor here. So do I. I don't know. Well, as my summer was winding down, things started to go downhill. Everything with my internship was good, like the whole way through. Like, that was never an issue, thank God. It was just everything outside of that, and then life after that. Yeah, like, you know, sometimes you can have the most well-intentioned people in your life, and they're gonna be unintentionally ableist because they're able-bodied. And I mean, you know, disabled people can be unintentionally ableist too, but it came as a surprise, and was a lot to process and brought up a lot of stuff from the past. And I think too, like, it's hard to, like, navigating any relationship is hard. Navigating adult friendships is hard. Like, being honest with people, like, honest, open communication is hard. Like, it just is. And even though it's something I'm better at now, it's like, it still is just like, it doesn't make it any easier. And yeah, it was that took up a lot of my brain space. I won't get into the details because it has been talked through and resolved and things like that. But I mean, it is also like a reality of being disabled, is sometimes people you love disappoint you, and it's rough. I mean, that makes me so grateful for like our friendship in that way, because it's like, literally, if you're not disabled, you don't get it. Like, what it's like to have people in your life who like are unintentionally like upset you in this very specific way. Like, it's a very isolating feeling.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that sucked, honestly. And yeah, I don't know. It just, also, I don't know. There's most of the time, like, as I'm going through my day, I don't think about the fact that I'm disabled. But then when stuff like that happens, I'm like, oh yeah, I am different, and this does affect my life. You know, like,
Yeah.
and so that was like heavy and a lot to process. Shout out therapy. Shout out honest communication. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know that some people, like, and it's like some people hurt you and they have literally no idea that it's that they hurt you that bad.
Yeah.
And sometimes too, like, having to have that conversation with someone, you feel like you're like, I need to, like, drive this into their head, and they just don't get it because they're not, like, you know, they're able-bodied people. Like, they're not going to be like, oh, this is a boundary for you.
Or even it's just like, you know, there's still only some extent, like, there's still, even if you explain it perfectly, like, there's still only, like, so much that people can understand when that's not their lived experience. But, you know, I think it's just, like, I'm glad to be at a place in life where I'm, like, you know, people will keep growing and learning, and it sucks that, yeah, I mean, like, I get it. Sometimes fucking up is how you learn. You're not always gonna know before you fuck up to prevent fucking. Like, it's just not.
Right.
That's unfortunately not reality. That's not being human. And yeah, but so that was kind of weighing me down in August, and then yeah, September I wrapped up my internship, and I had a solid 2 weeks of summer break before fall term was gonna start, and I was able to spend some time with friends and stuff, but as summer break was coming to a close, my mom's health was, like, she was having a lot of health issues that were demanding both my attention and my dad's attention, and to sum things up, called 911 twice in 1 week. She ended up being in the hospital for 5 weeks. Not exactly the way I expected to start fall term of my senior year. But hey, I just want to give a shout out to the Fountain Cafe at Providence, Portland, okay? Because holy shit, if that's not the best hospital food place I've ever been to. They had froyo that, for a large cup of froyo, unlimited toppings. I mean, unlimited in the sense that they only had so many toppings that you could pick from. But unlimited toppings, $3.50. They're open until 2 a.m. I'm about to show up at the hospital just to get froyo.
I mean, that, like, taco salad bowl that you got that one time, and you were like, guess how much this is? And I don't even think it was more than $5.
No, it was, oh my god, it was so cheap. And I, like, when they had baked potato bar night, that was like $7.
Yes.
I was like, I love it. Inflation doesn't exist at the Fountain Cafe. And usually they had, because they always have fucking fresh hot cookies, they usually have chocolate chip, snickerdoodle, sugar cookie. Well, there was a chocolate chip cookie shortage. And so at first when we got there, they had Bananas Foster. We tried those last. And when I say we, I mean me and my dad. We were going there every day. And we tried those last. They ended up being the best cookies we've ever had in our life. I will think about Bananas Foster's cookies from the Fountain Cafe for the rest of my life. They eventually ran out of them because they said that they sent them because, of course, we got to know all of the workers on a first name basis. They said that they got those, like, the place they ordered from just sent them Bananas Foster cookies instead of chocolate chip because they were like, here, have these instead. I'm like, okay, thank you, because this is the best thing that's ever happened. When they ran out of the Bananas Foster, they had s'mores cookies. They were also incredible. By the time that my mom was discharged, they were back to just chocolate chip, sugar cookie, and snickerdoodle. I've never been more disappointed in my life.
You went through the cookie gauntlet there. Who even knew Bananas Foster cookies existed? Like,
Not
what a
me.
random flavor.
Not me. And it was, oh my god, it was amazing. And sometimes we'd be there right as they opened, and so they would literally be fresh out of the oven hot. And, like, and sometimes you couldn't get them out of the bag because they were, like, stuck to the bag. Oh my god, it was amazing. And so that really sparked a lot of joy for me. Sorry, Mom, you were stuck. She wasn't really able to
the pros and cons of
well,
life.
I know. I'm like, sorry about it, Mom. But also, you went and ate good food while I was having surgery as a child. So take that.
Right.
It's my time. It's my time. My dad's like, I never want to be the one in the hospital. He's always on the eating side. He's never the one in the bed, damn it. Someday. No, okay, I don't mean that. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. Is such a disabled, like, chronically ill family thing to say. Sorry. To any normal person with a normal, healthy family, that sounds insane, but I mean that in a light, jestful way, because it's... Anyway, I do not wish ill upon anybody. It's just hospital cafeteria. Listen, my dad's like, let's start a YouTube channel where we just review hospital cafeteria food. I'm like, I love you, but no. Oh, also their lemon cake. They had like a dessert case down there, and the lemon cake, it changed lives. Okay.
Oh, God, I want like sweets right now so bad. I want a s'mores cookie.
Fuck. Yeah, life-changing stuff. And like during the time that she was in the hospital, I mean, like, it timed out. I think that, like, the first week she was in there, my dad was on vacation. Like, he just had vacation set. And so that was nice because he was home to be able to help me with stuff. But, I mean, she, like I said, she ended up being in there for 5 weeks. And so when he went back to work, like, my aunts that lived nearby, like, were able to come help me with stuff. But eventually I got to a place where, like, we figured out solutions for the very few caregiving needs that I had, and so now I'm able to be fully independent, like, even beyond, you know, my mom's been home for, like, over a month now, and, like, I'm still able to be fully independent, and that's been, like, a weird, you know, I hate to say there's a silver lining whenever there's health stuff, but, I mean, it's just, regardless, I mean, it was something that needed to happen eventually, but, you know, I'm just like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that I can put on my shoes myself, oh my god. How nice.
Life-changing.
How nice. But also, you know, the world wanted to kick me while I was down. I got identity theft. My internship employer contacts me and they go, somebody filed for paid leave under your name. It turns out it wasn't even under my name, but it was close enough that they were like, this is suspicious, and also nobody with that name works for them. And also, obviously, my internship was over. Why would I be, like, it just didn't make any sense. And so I called the state employment department, and they were like, oh, yeah, this person used your social security number. And, like, it was weird because it's like all they had was my former employer and my social security number. And they were pretty much like, yeah, I mean, we marked it as fraud, so obviously they're not going to use it. You know, they're not going to get approved. But they were like, you know, there's pretty much nothing you can do. You can freeze your credit. Well, at the time, I had no credit. So I was like, there's nothing to freeze. I was just like, cool, there's nothing I can do. You know, I can't even produce a credit report because I have no credit. Like, there's no way. I mean, like, I guess that's a good thing in that if I were to check my credit and something were to come up, like, that would be concerning. Yeah. But there was nothing I could do, which was very weird because I feel like when you hear about identity theft, you literally picture somebody out there in the world impersonating you or something.
Right, like they have a picture of your license.
Yeah, and they're like going around and being like, I'm Cassie, you know, but it's like, no, that's not it.
I remember you said to me, you're like, who would steal my identity? I don't even want to be here right now.
Yeah, and then, because it couldn't get worse, I got jury summons, which, you know, God bless, you know, serve your country. You know, fucking, it's good to serve, you know, it's good to have good people on juries. For Halloween, I'm like, go fuck yourself. Are you kidding? I'm sorry. Do you know what I'm going through right now? You're going to make me go to jury duty on Halloween when I'm crocheting a frog costume? I will go to jury duty as a frog.
What are you going to do? I'll just go home if you want me to change.
Facts. Ribbit. Thankfully, I didn't have to go in. They didn't need me. But I was like, damn, you're just gonna keep kicking me while I'm down. Anyway, my mom is doing much better now and is home and stuff, which is so good for her, and I am now burnt the fuck out and clinically depressed. Because apparently when you're in a state of fight or flight for like 7 weeks, it really fucks up your brain. So that's where I'm at, besties.
Depressed girlies.
Hand heart emoji. How's your fall been?
Oh, just so ever dandy. I went for my actually, so this is an update from the first season.
Oh yeah.
I went for my ADHD diagnosis test. Drum roll, please.
I can't roll my tongue. There it is.
I was diagnosed with ADHD. Oh my god, who expected
Wow,
this?
I'm so shocked.
What? You say that as if I haven't been spinning my fidget rings this entire time and playing with my hair and pulling my hair out while Cassie talks because I just need to be touching something and doing something as I'm listening or something. Yes.
You mean that people without ADHD don't send 20-minute audio messages several times a day?
Don't send 20-minute audio messages several times a day, where that audio message bounces back and forth like this is a ping pong game. I'm going through all different topics, crying, loving, laughing, experiencing all the emotions at once in 20 minutes. No, a normal person doesn't do that. Are you crazy? Because I am. So I was diagnosed with ADHD, inattentive type, in case you're wondering. And I had a whole, the test itself was very interesting. I mean, I could sit here and go all within it, but I'm not going to discuss every detail right now. But when I had my follow-up appointment with a psychologist, we talked about different, medications. We talked about, even, executive function training and how to actually, apply your brain to work in certain ways and figure out things that work for you that aren't just medication. Because we know that medication is not going to fix everything, that there's a lot of things you have to do yourself, which I was like, oh my God, you're telling me I have to work to feel better? No, I want a pill that does it for me. So I was taking, I am, I'm not going to say I was, but I was prescribed the generic form of Adderall. And I've been taking that for a couple weeks. I started taking it around the end of November. It had some weird side effects at first, like low appetite. I did feel a little extra jittery. I felt like I wasn't, I felt like it just took me a couple days to really adjust to it. And now that I've adjusted to it, I'll be honest, I don't really think it's been doing much for me. I am on a low dose, so I would imagine that the next step would be to either higher the dose or to change my medication. But I also deal with some borderline heart issues, so I do think that in retrospect, a stimulant is probably not the best option for me. That I probably should take a non-stimulant and go that route instead, which will be the conversation that I have with my PCP during our next appointment. The only upside, I guess, is that my Adderall pill does say 111 on it. I mean, when I opened that up and I saw it, I was like, not angel numbers on the ADHD medication, as if I'm taking more Delulu.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm glad you were able to finally get that answer, but the validation of what you've been experiencing.
Yeah. I mean, I did love seeing the doctor, or the person, I don't know what you call someone that administers the exam, but reading her little notes that she wrote about me, saying that I was friendly and that I was playing my fidget rings and I was shaking my leg a lot. Oh my God, she knew. And I was also, I'm taking another medication for pain that's called gabapentin, and it's also prescribed as a low dose anti-anxiety medication,
for people and cats, just in case you were wondering.
For people, for cats, they mention it in a Bring Me the Horizon song. We're dropping names everywhere for gabapentin. Gabapentin's got people. And I was taking it for pain, obviously, at first, and it was helping me, and then I was taking it for a little bit for anxiety purposes and stuff, but I feel like it's a medication where I take it and my brain feels blank. There's nothing up there. It's elevator music. There's a tumbleweed up there. There's nothing happening. And I don't like that feeling. I just don't like that. Because even I feel like it makes my reaction time a little slow. I feel like I don't really have authentic feelings. The one day when I took it and I was at my boyfriend's house, I was I'm like nonverbal right now. I'm like, I just don't have anything to say because I'm not thinking about anything. And I don't like that because I just like don't authentically feel like myself if I'm not just like like running a mile a minute, you know?
Well, I've got some news for you if you ever do get ADHD meds that work. Just kidding. I don't feel blank. But it sure do slow down.
Well, right. And that's like what I was missing with the Adderall is that I don't think that it was necessarily slowing down time for me. It was just more of like, I felt like it wasn't doing much. Where it's like, you know, if you take Adderall and you have ADHD, it does the opposite effect of what someone that doesn't have ADHD. Because, you know, when I told people I started Adderall, they were like, oh my God, like you're going to feel crazy. Like you're going to do, and I'm like, no, like when you take Adderall when you're in college and you're studying for exams and you're like you're blowing through that stuff, like that's because you don't have ADHD, so you are not depleted of that like brain chemical that it gives you. So like it's just adding extra to your system. So that's why you feel like that. But like I don't have that brain chemical, so it's just making me like a normal level, you know. So but like I also just do think that like sometimes I feel weird if I take my Adderall. Like I almost feel like it's gonna give me like a heart arrhythmia, so I'm like, I need to not take this. But I do plan on talking about like some anti-anxiety medication next time I see my PCP, because I think that like as much as I know more people are like, oh, when you have ADHD and anxiety, like it's, if you get on ADHD medication, it will help your anxiety. Like, and I do think that that is true, but I think that there's also needs to be like some other supplement there. Around the same time, I also started going to yoga, which has been nice to do like yoga classes like once or twice a week. Listen, I hate to say it, but I don't think yoga really does much for my mental health. So I think I just like to feel strong. So I'm like, I need to lift weights. I need to do like powerlifting, and I need to get really jacked, and then I'll feel better.
Nice.
And around this time too, like I was pet sitting. I've been pet sitting more, watching like cats, dogs, rabbits, all the fun things. In October, the beginning of October, I went to Disney again. I got Muppet fever and I projectile vomited, literally.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
I forgot about this, and when I was writing the notes out, I was like, oh my God, I forgot that I went to Disney, and I also forgot that I literally like saw God in the Hollywood Studios bathroom. Like, I was not okay.
I think you sent me a selfie.
I sent you a selfie fighting for my life as my friends are enjoying like the water show. I was like, yeah, I'm having a water show too in here.
I think I was at a concert when that, or no. Oh wait, no, because this was October, right?
Yeah, this was beginning of October.
I don't know where I was or what I was doing, but I just remember being like, oh, Mariah's dying in a bathroom at Disney World right now.
I was literally fighting for my life. I mean, granted, I was dealing with some stomach issues a little bit over the summer too. That was just like, I just call it pooping weird. I was pooping. It was just weird. I'm not going into too much detail.
No, that you'll save that for our audio messages.
I was in Disney, and like, granted, this day it wasn't that hot out, but I just wasn't drinking enough water, and I did have some alcohol on top of it all, and I was like, I was going to the bathroom, but I wasn't having like satisfying movements, we'll say, and like, sometimes when this happens is that like the only way I'm gonna get the stuff that's inside me out is to throw it up. And I was like in the bathroom, and I was considering like, do I pull trig? Like what? Like something has to give. But I was like sitting there, and I was watching some of the water show that they do at Hollywood Studios, and I was like, I'm gonna throw up. Like, I feel it inside me already that I'm gonna throw up. So I walked to like the top of the pavilion and just yeeted it like right out of my system, like expelling a demon. Like I waved at one of the cast members, and she was like, waved back at me like very like suspiciously, like, what are you waving at me for? And I was like, I'm throwing up, like, please. And she came over, she got me a wheelchair, she wheeled me to first aid, we were chatting, we were talking, she let me take a selfie in a mirror backstage, like, it was a grand old time. And I'm talking to her, and I was like, this girl's not making eye contact with me. Why isn't she like, I was like, well, I don't know, why do I feel weird about this right now? When I get to the bathroom at the first aid, I was covered in vomit. Of course she's not looking at me. Of course she's standing away. I stink, and I look horrible. I'm the exorcist of Hollywood Studios. Like, this girl was like, I don't want to be near you. I'm sorry. And then, like, for the rest of the trip, I didn't get as sick as I was then, but I was this, like, on and off, like, you know, I couldn't do some of the rides because I wasn't feeling well, which I was like, you know what, fine. Like, I would rather, like, skip a ride than, you know, suffer for, like, more days.
Yeah.
the Animal Kingdom day was chill, it sucked because it was the park with the most walking. But I was like, you know what? I needed to chill. And like, I think that was kind of like my vendor events in October were very meh. I feel like that was something that I complained about a lot on my Instagram story, because I was like, guys, it sucks to spend money at a vendor event for my vendor fee to only make the vendor fee back and then an extra $20.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not making money here, bro. Also, I started, like, during that time as well, like, this was actually a little bit before Disney, I started editing a memoir for somebody. I'm not going to go into too much detail, because as much as I enjoyed it, I don't think it was, like, it's not, like, other people are going to think it's, like, that interesting. But I did really like editing, and I did really like how it kind of gave me a purpose and, like, a bit of a career idea, because I, like, eventually do want to go back to school. I could probably talk about this in another episode, but I would like to go back to get my bachelor's degree in English and maybe make writing and editing a, like, potential career prospect.
Yes. Have you finished the memoir? I actually haven't asked you about it in a while.
So, when I followed up with the person again, he read everything that I wrote and kind of realized that he wanted to, like, rewrite the entire part again, just because he wasn't, like, it wasn't anything that I did, it was just, like, what he wrote. He was like, oh, I think I could add more to this, so he's actually going to contact me, like, in the new year about, like, going over the stuff again.
That's so fun, though.
Editing it again.
So cool.
Oh, yeah, I love it. I'm like, I just love this idea of having, like, this, like, piece to kind of even add to, like, future resumes and stuff like that, and also just to, like, I don't know, like, I think editing is the same way with how I feel with, like, editing the podcast. Like, it adds a totally different, like, it's a different experience for me, and it's something that, like, I don't know, it's very, like, self-soothing in a way, because I'm like, oh, like, being able to work on a project, like, start to finish, and have this, like, thing to show for, like, my efforts. And I loved going to, like, a cafe and sitting there and getting a coffee and typing it all out. Oh, it was so good.
You are so cool. And I don't mean that in, like, some, like, sarcastic, weird way. I mean, like, I'm like, wow, that's my bestie. Go bestie.
Thanks. During all this time, too, I did take a tea break. I'm going to call that a Taylor Swift break, because I listened to, in the early stages of my relationship, in the month of August, I listened to Cruel Summer by Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding, every single day. Multiple times a day. I listened to August by Taylor Swift. I went through each, like, era of hers. I was like, oh my God, I'm listening to Lover. I'm listening to all this stuff. Because I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl. Like, that's all I can say. And I was like, I have to literally take a break from listening to Taylor Swift, because if I do, if I continue this antic, she's going to be my top artist when I know it needs to be Boy Genius.
Which I will say, you may be the only straight person I know who had Boy Genius in their top artists on Spotify Wrapped. And I respect that. They need diversity in their and I'm so glad you can provide that.
This is Serena, but on the Boy Genius subreddit, people talk about how, like, people literally try to gatekeep them and say, like, they're only for, like, bisexual girls or, like, lesbians only.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, oh my God, I gotta, like, prove, like, you gotta, like, you listen to Boy Genius, name 5 women that you've kissed.
Oh my God. Oh my God, that's incredible. Yeah, I mean, this year, I mean, because I obviously went and saw the Eras movie since I didn't get to see the tour, which, I'm sorry, Justice for Speak Now, one song and it was Enchanted?
Right? I saw a lot of people, I didn't see the movie, but I saw a lot of people talk about that.
So, like, in the movie, they would have this, like, I don't know, kind of title screen transition that would come up that would, like, introduce whatever era she was about to perform. And I was like, yes, Speak Now, let's fucking go, this is my shit. She plays Enchanted, and then it's like, title screen for the next era comes up. I was like, hello. I was like, what? So that was upsetting. They do have Long Live as a bonus song in the rental version, the version that's out, yesterday, her birthday, she put out. There's like that, like, yeah, they added Long Live and they added like 2 other songs or something like that, but I was just like, justice for Speak Now, because what the hell, Taylor? But I will say that I did listen to 1989 so much this year and realized that I'm like a total 1989 girly, so that's been fun. Like, because it was like when I was like a proper Swiftie back in the day, it was like from her debut album through Red, and then after that I kind of fell off. And so I missed the 1989 era initially, and so I don't think I had ever really listened to it in full, and so I've been very much enjoying it.
That's so interesting, because I remember when 1989 first came out, and I, like, was in high school, and, like, I remember vividly people talking about it, like Welcome to New York, and, like, you know, obviously the song about Harry Styles, and just, like, the whole gauntlet. But I didn't even realize that Bad Blood is on 1989.
The weirdest part when 1989 Taylor's version came out is when I was listening to it, is I knew the words to most of the songs. But again, I had never listened to the album.
Also, I do have a bone to pick with Miss Taylor, because when I saw the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, this was in October, because, you know, we're gamers. Like,
I don't know where this is going, but yes.
So when I was watching the movie, this was at like 12 or 1 o'clock on like a Friday, like the time a normal person goes to the movie, you know. The theater next to us was playing the Eras Tour movie, and it was so loud that you couldn't even immerse yourself in the film you're watching, because all I hear is fucking like, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 22, like right next door. And I'm like, this is actually like irritating. Like, because I want to, I'm paying to watch this movie, and I'm gonna get the, I earn my hard-earned money that my boyfriend spent on these tickets. Like, and I can't even immerse myself because I hear the Eras Tour next door, which, like, I think somebody got up during the movie and said something to the upfront, because they came back and like a couple minutes later it was softer. So I think that they said, like, hey, this is, because it literally was distracting. I've never been inside a theater before where I could so vividly hear the theater next to me, like, playing. And, like, I was like, oh my gosh, like, what's happening? Like, this is actually annoying. Because, like, you know, the Five Nights at Freddy's movie is like a thriller, like, atmospheric, so it's quiet. Like, and there's certain, like, little, like, music things that it plays and stuff. And, like, you can't hear that if the like, you're literally distracted by, like, the theater next door. No. So AMC, how dare you?
And when you said 22, that really reminded me that there were a lot of songs that were included in the Eras Tour movie that shouldn't have been. It was very singles heavy.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I really enjoyed hearing, like, Shake It Off, but it's because I haven't personally exhausted that single yet. But when she was playing, like, 22 and I Knew You Were Trouble, I was like, as if I haven't listened to these songs 100 times in my life. But I was just so pissed about the Speak Now thing. I think it was really personal.
That's so unbalanced, too, especially because Speak Now came out over the summer.
Yes, well, and she, like... And, like, some of the, like, I honestly can't remember the difference at the like, Folklore, Evermore. Like, some of those, she played, like, 5 songs from them. I was like, again, Justice for Speak Now. Oh, but she included our song from the debut, which I didn't think there was going to be a single...
Yeah.
Which I do remember the choreography that I created instead. Okay?
Also, I was going to say, granted, I mean, Folklore and Evermore, she didn't tour. And same thing with Lover, right? So I know people were saying that, they were fine with those songs being heavily featured because the fact that she's never played them.
Which, that makes sense from a tour perspective, but from a movie perspective, it could have been more balanced.
Miss Swift, we have some notes. After you listen to this episode, please DM us on Twitter or DM us on Instagram.
Yeah, or just give us tickets to your next tour. Thanks.
Oh my god, live podcast from the Eras Tour. And like
copyright strike 1, 2, 3. The only other media that's really rocking my world right now is Survivor. If there's one thing about me, it's that my life is measured in Wednesdays because that's when Survivor's on. And there's another showmance this season, and that's all I live for. Yesterday, I almost had to pause because I was giggling and kicking my feet. Okay, I was like, "This is too much. This is too much for me right now." The showmance this season's even better than the one last season, and I've got to say, when it's next season and there's probably no showmance, because what are the chances that that would even happen that many times? It's gonna be disappointing, but God, if I don't love Survivor.
I was gonna say the only media I've been consuming is not being on Twitter.
Oh yeah, because since we last podcasted, you got rid of it.
I completely axed it. I don't remember exactly. I wish I was like you and kept an app that said like how many days since I've been on the hell site. I haven't. I think it was actually the beginning of September I deleted it. And I say deleted it very loosely. I just deleted the app from my phone. I don't think I deactivated my account or anything. But my issue is that like I got banned on Twitter like in August. I'm not gonna really give a reason why, but I got banned on Twitter. And I was like, it kind of made me realize like I got banned for a week. So I was like, I went a week without like being able to tweet, which like when you're in that like when you get banned, you're in like red only, so you could read and stuff, but you can't like tweets, you can't reply to anything. And I was kind of like, this app does nothing for me. Then like it does nothing. Like all I do is read miserable things all day and things that make me sad. And even when I was able to tweet, I wasn't getting a lot of interactions. I think that a lot of my friends like either weren't on the app as much anymore or weren't on it, period. And also like weren't seeing my tweets because like, you know, there's the two different timelines still. So I don't think a lot of people were seeing my tweets. And I was like, I could go without it. Like I could definitely just go without this. So I deleted it. And the only social media I have on my phone is Instagram now. I don't count YouTube as social media because that's just like, that's the silly app. So, cause I got off Reddit for the same reason of like, I hate reading stuff that makes me sad. Facebook, I was never like drawn to in the first place. And, TikTok I have because of like recently I downloaded TikTok, but then like, I don't go on it. Cause like, I don't even like think about going on it. The algorithm doesn't know me yet. So I don't go on there cause I don't get anything fun, but I actually thought I was going to miss Twitter, and I really don't. I'm not like anything different without it. Like I have been able to read some more books. I've been able to like actually enjoy like life more, like, like, you know, because like you would really go on there and just read some things that would make you upset and like, it's not even like you would read news and stuff, but it's not like news that you particularly like need to know. It's like, why am I reading about what other like low level like Congress people are doing in other states across the country? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why am I reading about stuff that really isn't like, obviously I know there's certain things you definitely want to keep up with and things that you have to be like aware of, and things that you want to engage in, but other times I'm like, why am I reading about like what Elon Musk is doing? I don't care.
Right.
Like I don't care about what his recent take on a movie was. Are you serious?
Yeah, it's like non-news that is made into news, or
exactly.
just, I mean, we are constantly exposed, like you said, it's like some news, it makes sense for
of course
us to consume, and otherwise it's just, we're just being bombarded with too much information.
Yeah.
It reminds me of like, I don't know, when I quit, it was like people were arguing over like hypothetical news. It was like,
yes.
It's just like, it was just so bad. But like, I mean, your exact experience of like, yeah, like it wasn't that hard. Like to me, it's like there's such a different psychological difference between taking a break and quitting. As soon as you're like, you know what, I'm done, it's like out of sight, out of mind. Like, and it's funny because I had downloaded an app to like keep track of like how long I'd been off Twitter. Well, then I forgot I even had that app because I didn't care. And then I randomly came across it in like my app library or whatever. And I was like, oh, I can delete this because I haven't been on Twitter since like May. And I deleted, I don't remember when I deleted my account.
Yeah, because you actually fully went ahead and deactivated it.
Yeah, I was like, I don't need the, like, bye, like, I ain't coming back, you know, and I haven't looked back since. I don't miss it. People have been like, I have Blue Sky invite codes if you want them. I'm like, I don't.
No, like, and that's the thing with like Instagram threads. I was like, I have no
gross.
intention of like finding a replacement for this. Like, because that was the issue to begin with, was this. Like, because not even like, even stuff with news, it's like, you'd have a viral video of someone living their life. They did a fun craft, they did something they enjoyed, and they would get so much hate and so much like anger put towards that person, and I'm like, oh my god, like this person made like a fun dress and you're ripping them apart and saying all these horrible things. And like, even like and that's where like TikTok is the same way, because once you get a viral video, it's like all the comments are like the same thing. All these comments are like talk about how horrible this person is, and that was the same thing with Twitter. And I'm like, oh my, like, what are we doing? Like, this is as a society, this is like what we're giving our energy into. Like, not to be so big brain about it, but like, I was like, you're being a like being a hater sometimes is fine, but like sometimes, like when you're really sinking your teeth into this one person, like, what are you doing? Like, like, dude, take a step back and like look at yourself and be like, what? Like, I don't know. I think a lot of times it's like people are like, they're acting like, you know, when you're being like that mean and like that much like hatred towards like somebody that you don't even know, it's like, bro, what's going on in your life, man? Like, I want to sit there and be like, how are you?
Well, and I actually, you know, because you mentioned, like, yeah, there's, like, news, there's non-news stuff. Like, there's, like, various things that, like, make social media the worst sometimes. But I've actually been reading proper news since I quit Twitter. And because, I mean, Instagram only gives you news if it's like right now, like with everything happening in Palestine, like people are actively sharing stuff. So you're seeing stuff more that way. But in general, you're not getting news. And so you have to seek it out. And so I usually look at NPR. So I get just a, you know, general overview of what's happening nationally. And I look at OPB, which is like our local version of that, just to get a grasp of what's happening and make sure I know. And it's a literal more pleasant way to get actually reading news sources is such a more pleasant way than you're seeing the headline, but it's paired with somebody's like whatever they're saying. It's like it actually allows me to critically think for myself, which is so delightful.
Which, like, it's so interesting you say that, because that's how I felt with Twitter. Is like you would hear something like you would get like some like news given to you, that something that you read, and you're like, what's my opinion on this? Yeah. And you feel like you have to read the echo chamber first to make your own opinion. And I felt like that's really bad, because I should be able to read something and be like, this is how this makes me feel. I shouldn't have to read what other accounts are saying first. And I think that definitely was Twitter was doing for me, because, you know, you'd see some like report, and then you see like the quote tweets about it. You see all this extra stuff before you even saw like what the headline said.
You would read more of what other people were saying about it than the actual thing itself. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. And like, at least with Instagram in some way, I felt like that's more of where I would get like trustworthy, loosely information, because I think it also obviously depends on who you follow, the accounts you interact with, and that's really what your like kind of your view is skewed towards. But on Instagram, or no, like on Twitter, like, because of how the algorithm was, you would see everything from everybody. It was like, you would see like right-wing opinions about this. You see left-wings. You see like everybody's thoughts about this one thing. And I was like, this, like, it makes it very confusing to like really understand.
Actually, that's such a good point. It's not even the amount of news we were exposed to. It was the amount of opinions about the news that was what was, oh my God. Because like I said, it was, the thing that like was the final straw for me was like people were arguing about news that was hypothetical and underwhelming, and if I had come across a headline, I'd be like, okay, whatever. Like, and instead people were like ripping each other apart. I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is, and it was like making me have negative opinions of people I actually know in real life. And I was like, no. I was like, we're done here.
Okay, but like that's so real, because I would see, that's why I hated the function of like a tweet that it would have a tweet and at the top it says this person liked this.
Oh my God.
Because like we all know that like accounts that you follow does not equal your opinion, especially because people would follow like some like controversial accounts, but it's like no, because they're trying to keep like the whole, like they're trying to fill the whole sphere and not just have like little parts. Like they're trying to like see like, okay, I want to like almost like see what this person says about this so I can be like, you know, to just like know more stuff, I guess.
Not be in an echo chamber. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. But then, like, I'm just like, this is just so much stuff that like I'm reading and I'm like making these observations about certain people when I know that they're not like this. Like I know them authentically in that way, and social media doesn't work for that.
I guess I will say too, like it's being less like, because Instagram's not really the best way to get life updates in general from people for the most part, unless they're posting like I'm engaged or I don't know, like stuff like that, like really big life updates. And so I think it's also made me better at like updating my friends more personally about what's going on in my life and stuff, which is fun and nice. Which, speaking of what's going on in my life, so nowadays, let's see, as we're recording this, I'm on winter break, so I just finished fall term. My fall term classes were just okay. I honestly didn't learn a lot, which is kind of annoying, but I'm excited about my winter term classes. I decided to register for all online classes because I'm currently interviewing for jobs in the state legislature for the 2024 short session. So it'd be pretty much, they're all like temporary positions that are like 2 to 3 months long. And so I figured it's like they're basically all full time. So I figured just sticking with online classes obviously makes sense. And so I am signed up for, I'm signed up for a critical disability class, which is, I've changed my schedule so many times since I initially registered, but my friend came across this class, and it's like I've been complaining about the lack of disability classes, and it actually falls in the Child and Family Studies program. And so I had honestly been always skipping over those classes because it just sounded like, I don't know, like such a specific program that I was like, that's probably not what I want. But the description of the class is actually very general. Like, so I think that it'll be really good, and like the syllabus looks really good for the class. And so it's like, I don't know, I'm excited to be represented in curricula. And then I'm taking a screenwriting class.
I'm excited for that for you.
I'm so excited because I've been wanting to take fun writing classes, but because I need to take 300 and 400 level classes to count towards my degree, I can't take most writing classes because it's like advanced fiction writing, advanced this, advanced that, and I haven't taken the prerequisites to be able to take those because they're all 100 and 200 level classes that I would have had to take. And so this is one of the random writing classes that doesn't have prerequisites. And so I'm very excited. I think it'll be so nice to... I just really haven't taken a lot of fun classes that are truly for me. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really excited about that. And then the other class that I'm taking is called Crime and Social Justice. And it's kind of about like the history of how the criminal justice system has disproportionately impacted people of color, and like the history of like the whole cracking down on crime thing, and like how the media perpetuates myths about crime and stuff like that. So I'm really excited about that. I think it's really relevant to local politics right now. And yeah, I think it'll be good to like understand some of that history more and dispel some of those myths.
Yeah, and even like I feel like that's it's a bit of a branch out to like compared to like the classes you have taken like this past year too. Like I don't really think you've taken like many like crime focused or anything like that. No, like not at all. Yeah,
exactly. And so it's like I figure it's like, the disability class is different, but obviously so based on my lived experience, but and like screenwriting's so different. Like, and like, after winter term, I only have 3 more classes. And so I'm really hoping, until I'm like done with school, and so I'm really hoping that for spring term that I can kind of do that same thing of like taking 3 classes that are unrelated to anything I've taken. Right. I was initially on the waiting list for screenwriting. And so when I got off of it, I had to drop class I wanted to take, and when I added the disability class, I had to drop a class I wanted to take because it's like I can't take everything it's like I can't take 5 classes, and so like I dropped a class about the Middle East, and I dropped a class about Native American and settler relations, which was like an anthropology class. So I was really interested in those, but I think they're also available more regularly, so I was like, I could probably take those in the spring. And so hoping to do that and just make the most of the rest of my education. But yeah, right now I'm in the thick of applying and interviewing for legislative jobs, so I'll keep y'all updated on that. I really hope I get something. I've already been rejected from one thing and cried about it, but hey, we're gonna keep trucking.
Life rolls on, unfortunately.
It's gotta keep going.
You talking about school, like in the classes you take, makes me so excited to like apply for like different programs and stuff in school, and also be able to kind of like gather the classes like that too, because I like, you know, as much as I'd love to take like, you know, writing classes, I'm like, oh, like it'd be really fun to have those like fun, like, you know, more like introspective and classes like sprinkled throughout, like sprinkled in between that you're like, oh, like I wouldn't be taking this if I wasn't, you know, here, and I'm able to like actually like get like a very well-rounded education out of this all, you know.
Exactly, and that's the thing is I just remember a lot of the advice I got when I was going back to school was people were like, take classes that expand your perspective, you know?
Yeah.
And so I feel like I've really been able to do that in a lot of ways, and honestly some of the terms where I've had to, you know, drop classes and switch things up and stuff, I've really ended up taking classes I wouldn't have taken if I wasn't in that situation. And like I'm thinking about like when I took anthropology of food, it's like,
yeah,
that's a class I never would have thought to take.
The Lentils Project.
The Lentils Project. But it's just like, yeah, it's just like stuff like that where it's like, I don't know, there's just been so many times that I've gotten to take classes that I things I never would have thought to intentionally learn about on my own. And it's also been cool and interesting that most of my classes aren't policy focused by any means, but we end up having policy papers that we're writing. And I'm like, that's, again, obviously furthered my interest there. So it's like, it's been fun and nice. And shouts the frick out to my professors for being so understanding of everything I was going through fall term. I literally would not have... If I did not have, like, their support and flexibility with, like, turning things in and being late and, like, them being understanding in that way, like, there's no way that I would have ended up dropping out, you know, like, with everything I was going through. So it's just, like, so grateful for that.
Like, that's so good they were able to accommodate and help you out in just, like, the ways that they did.
Oh, yeah, but when I registered for winter term, I decided that I'm dropping my community development minor because... one of the classes I took fall term was one of the ones that was required for that minor, and I just really didn't enjoy it, honestly, because I didn't learn a lot, and the only classes I have left, I only have 2 classes left for the minor, but, like, neither of them sound interesting to me. I don't think I'm going to learn much from them, so I'm like, I'm not going to waste 2 classes, you know, a third of what I have left of school on classes that I don't want to take, and... You know, community development made more sense when I might have still been going, like, a planning route. But now that I'm focused on policy and stuff, and I already feel like I've gotten everything I can out of, like, the urban studies classes that I've taken so far. So I'm just like, no, I'm just going to do what makes me happy and feels fulfilling to me, which was a hard decision to make, but I regret nothing. If I spontaneously want to be a planner, I'll go back to school, damn it. All right, the time has come where we reveal our new recurring segment. So it's called Pod Don't Post, and it's inspired by when I would text Mariah things and I would say, text, don't tweet, when I was still on Twitter, or even when I was like quitting Twitter and stuff. And I don't know, it ranged from hot takes to mental breakdowns to just stuff that was just unnecessary to tweet or too nuanced and niche for people to get without more context.
And I think too, like, it kind of also derived from like wanting, you know, sometimes when you tweet things into the void, you want the void to respond back.
True.
So if you text your friends, you will get a response back.
True. Yes. And so evolving from there, yeah, we came up with Pod Don't Post. And so every week you can hear what we're not posting on the internet, but we're thinking about anyway.
Yes. What's your pod don't post of the week?
When you have multiple internal monologues going on at any given time, so Shake It Off by Taylor Swift is playing in the background of your mind while you grieve someone's death. I'm like, I can't post that on the internet. That's like, people would be like, what the hell, Cassie? My brain has, there's always music in the background in there, and so sometimes you find out somebody you know has died, and you're crying about it, but in the back of your brain is
the play's gonna play.
Yeah, and I'm just like, what is happening right now? It's, yeah, grief is a spectrum, and sometimes your brain, it's doing things. How about you? What's yours?
So my pod don't post of this week is that right now in the new Fortnite season, they finally put Peter Griffin in the Battle Pass. And like Fortnite heads, have known that like Peter Griffin has been in like previous leaks for like future like cosmetics and skins and stuff like that for your character. So people were like, oh, I doubt it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen, like, because, like, for multiple reasons of, like, Fortnite being, like, a kid's game, they're not going to have, like, a quote-unquote, like, adult cartoon character, or, they were like, oh, he would be, like, his hitbox would be really big, because he's, like, a bigger, like, character. Like, they usually do, like, tall, slender, like, character skins. So, they added Peter Griffin, and they gave him a whole backstory about, like, why he looks like the way he does, like, why he's, like, a thinner version of himself, like, a bulkier version of himself. And I think he looks great, and I think it's very fun, and it kind of gives me something to like work towards in that way, because like if it's in the battle pass, it means that you have to reach a certain level to unlock it. So if that means you got to consistently play and you have to level up, and it's been fun to like get back into playing it with the new map and everything. And also they implemented a new like style of the game that's called Lego Fortnite. It's a collab with Lego, because apparently now, which I didn't even know this, like, I think it's the people that, like, Epic Games, which, like, creates Fortnite, Rocket League, like, Fall Guys, a bunch of other games, own, like, Lego, and they also own, like, Guitar Hero. So they've implemented modes in Fortnite that you could do this other stuff with. So, like, Lego Fortnite is basically, like, Minecraft, and, like, it's an open world, like, sandbox sort of game where your character gets, like, placed, and you go from there. Like, you forage for supplies, you meet other villagers, you build towns, like, you do all this stuff, like, you combat enemies, and it's been very fun, and I can sit there and play for hours with no thoughts in my head at all. Like, I'll throw on an audiobook, and I will sit there and play Lego Fortnite for 2 hours, and I'm like, this is great. Like, this is what I've been looking for. Like, to just like mindlessly like dump at the end of the day. Like Rock Girl season also includes laying in bed playing Lego Fortnite in the clothes that I've been wearing since yesterday. Like that's what we're doing.
Who is Peter Griffin?
Shut the fuck up.
I'm not kidding. I will say the majority of the time you were talking just now, I was like sending you my support, but like I was like also looking for a dictionary.
Peter Griffin's from Family Guy.
Oh!
Like the dad, like the main guy, Family Guy, Peter Griffin.
I was picturing some man. Which, well...
he is some man.
I mean, he is some man, but...
yeah, that's why people were like, oh, I don't know if he's ever going to be in the game. But, like, they have a lot of, like, the Fortnite leaks go crazy because they have so many characters that they're like, oh, this could be a character in the game, or, like, this is someone that, like, we could try to get. Like, and that's why, like, they even have... like a short on the Fortnite YouTube channel about like how like Peter Griffin came into the game, which is so silly that is even a thing. But yeah, Peter Griffin's now in Fortnite. If you want to play Fortnite, please message me on Instagram and ask me for my gamer tag on Epic Games, and we can play Fortnite together.
And your Instagram is what?
sassafras.777.
Please game with her because I'm not gonna.
You can get Fortnite on the Switch.
The duality of our pod don't posts.
Oh yeah. I toss it up and you spike it down. Sorry, that was me.
Okay, so we want to try something this season. We want to do an episode later in the season where we answer your questions or share your stories and perspectives on the topics that this podcast covers. So you can email us at tcmspod@gmail.com or DM us on Instagram at tcmspod. You can ask us questions about our experiences with disability, chronic illness, and navigating our 20s. You can share your own stories of disabled joy or ableism and how you navigated it. If you're not disabled, what's something relevant that you've learned or noticed as you move through life? We want to hear from you no matter who you are, whether you're disabled or not, wherever you live, however old you are, anything. Nothing is off limits, because if we don't like it, we're just not going to use it. So again, you can email us at tcmspod@gmail.com or DM us on Instagram. We'll eventually have a cutoff date for that that we will mention in future episodes and post on social media. But yeah, I think that it would be fun. This is kind of our alternative to, we had thought about the idea of having guests, but there's a lot of technical logistics we would have to figure out. And so, but we want to incorporate more people into the show.
Yeah. And it also just adds like more ideas for future episodes or for future segments, like, to kind of have a bit more things to talk about. Because, I feel like you and I can only ride the wheel of like conversations so much before we need another like input question in there, especially when it comes to stuff for the podcast. So, and
we do cover so much that it's like, what do you want to hear? What do you want to talk about?
Exactly. Do you want to hear something like, you want to hear an in-depth story about something else we've discussed, or like other stories that maybe we have but like we don't know where it would bring up in context for like what episodes. So yeah, definitely shoot us an email. Or DM us. That's probably easier. Well, that's a wrap on this week's episode. Be sure to follow the Cassie and Mariah Show wherever you listen to podcasts, at TCMS Pod on Instagram, and look out for new episodes every Wednesday.
Bye!